There are lots of different platforms that allow you to host your podcast, including self-hosting options. However, we believe SoundCloud is the ideal place to host and manage all of your shows. It's free to use and has over 175 million active listeners, so it really is the best place to get started because it comes with its own built-in audience. To get going, head to SoundCloud.com and create your account. Once you've created an account, you should optimize your profile by branding it to your podcast. You should upload your logo, add a description in your bio, and link out to your social media accounts as well as your website. When you're ready, you can add your first podcast by heading to the upload area. Once you're here, just simply drag and drop the file into your browser. And then once your podcast has been uploaded, set it to live. To ensure that all listeners on SoundCloud can discover your podcast, we're going to run through some optimization techniques to increase the searchability and discoverability of your podcast. Your title is the most important part of your podcast, as it's a window into your show without having to go into too much detail. Think about what people are searching for and try and make it catchy and descriptive so it engages potential listeners. Now, you may not realise this, but the URL that you choose to use is just as important as the title of your podcast. Search engines like Google pick up the URL and rank it, so keep it short, snappy and descriptive just like your title. Next, we want to pick a genre. It's important to choose a genre which closely matches your podcast style and topic. Once you've done this, make sure you do this with the subgenre to really get a good definition of your show. You can enhance your searchability by adding tags which describe your podcast. For example, if you have a technology show which covers entrepreneurialism, make sure you include keywords like entrepreneur and technology. Give your podcast a description which covers what the show's content is all about. This is what will show up in search results, so it's important to get this right. Mention the people involved, links to your website or any resources you've used, and anything else which goes into your podcast. By default, SoundCloud doesn't add an image to your podcast, so give it some identity by uploading your show's logo. Image dimensions should be 800 pixels by 800 pixels. And there we have it. Your podcast searchability should have increased so listeners can now easily find your show. Now, it's all well and good to just put your podcast live as soon as possible so listeners can find it, but what if no one's around? It's most likely that you won't get as much attention as you should. One great feature of SoundCloud is its schedule function. You can use this to push out your podcast on a certain day and time when it's most likely to get attention. Plus, the great thing is, any linked social accounts like Twitter and Facebook will also push out your show at the same time. Alternatively, you could use a service like Buffer or Hootsuite to schedule your social media postings of your podcast. And in addition to this, you should post links on your social media accounts to your podcast at different times of the day. This will allow you to capture and engage listeners from different time zones who may not have heard your podcast the first time round. After your podcast has been live for a few days, you can track its statistics. On your audio file, click More Stats. Then, choose the date range that you want to analyse. You can see number of plays, likes, comments, and who played it the most. This is an incredibly useful function as it will show you which podcast has performed the best and will give you a better insight into the types of shows that are engaging your listeners. To boost your numbers and add more credibility to your podcast, there's a few things which you can do to engage your community further. Research and identify podcasters who are an authority in your niche. It's a way of creating a network of like-minded people that you and others can access at all times. Listeners that follow you will get notified when you share useful links. So make a habit of finding and retweeting good content to build up your credibility. Show your appreciation of other podcasts and podcasters by liking their shows on SoundCloud. Build your brand awareness by commenting on tracks that relate to your content. Others can see your comments, so they'll work as a link back to your profile.